Welcome to Cosmic Conversations, the podcast where spirituality meets real life. I'm Siobhan, your host, aka the Cosmic Coach, and this is a space where we are going to explore the layers of what make us truly who we are. There's going to be a series of solo episodes along with some incredible guests, a space where we can truly discuss the universe within us all. So excited to welcome to the podcast Emma Mumford. Emma, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so delighted to have you on. I've been really looking forward to our conversation. But I suppose before we get into it, for someone who's probably unlikely, but maybe meeting you for the first time, would you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Of course. So my name's Emma. For anyone who doesn't know what I do, I am a manifestation expert. I am a 4 times best-selling author of my books, Aligned Abundance, Hurt, Healing, Healed, and Positively Wealthy, and Manifesting Rituals. I have been a law of attraction YouTuber for over a decade. I've had my podcast, Aligned Abundance, for over 8 years, I think it is now. And yeah, for over the last decade of my life, I've been helping people manifest their dream lives through the law of attraction and spirituality.
Oh my God, it's actually so amazing to hear you all say that. I'm like, wow. It's incredible. I think people listening are really gonna, especially the listeners of this podcast, are gonna absolutely love this. But I'd love to know, what led you into this work? Like, were you always into manifestation, or was it something that you went into gradually?
Yeah, so no, definitely not. Definitely has not been a part of my life for previous to 10 years. So yeah, I've been aware of manifestation and the law of attraction for 10 years. But before that, I was definitely atheist, I would say. And I definitely was always seeking something outside of myself and kind of greater meaning. I think a lot of us do. But yeah, I was experiencing a lot of depression and anxiety before that time in my life. And during. So for me, it was really that rock bottom part of my life in 2016 when I came across manifestation and the law of attraction. And I always say it finds you, you don't find it. It tends to find you when you need it the most. And yeah, that rock bottom for me was really when I needed it. And it was that kind of, I guess, sliding doors moment in my life where I was like, I was having suicidal thoughts. I was thinking, what am I doing? I don't know how to love myself. I don't feel happy. And I was so young at the time as well. I was in my early 20s. So it really was stepping into adulthood, but then also feeling so low and having experienced depression for so many years. I was questioning so much. So yeah, for me, it really came into my life at that pivotal time and changed my life in the most miraculous ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like it really saved your life at that time.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? The power of it, and it's really like reclaiming your own power, isn't it? And realizing that. But I suppose for anyone who isn't really sure, how would you explain like what manifestation is?
Yeah, so manifestation is formally known as the law of attraction, and this is one of the 7 energetic laws of the universe. So this is the law that governs like attracts like. So what we put out into the universe is what we co-create into our reality. So I like to describe it a bit like a divine mirror of how we show up to the divine mirror of life is what is reflected back to us. So our thoughts, our energy, our vibration, our beliefs, they all create our reality. So we've probably all got those examples in our life where something negative happens or frustrating and we tell someone and we're moaning about it and we're like, oh, you won't believe this. And then something else happens. And by the end of the day, you're just thinking, gosh, it's just been one of those days. Give me a break. Mm-hmm. And on the flip side, we've probably had those examples where something positive has happened and we've told someone, we've shared it, and then something else lucky happens. And by the end of the day, we're like, wow, good things happen in 3. I feel so lucky today. And this is the law of attraction and action. What we give our energy, our focus to is what flows into our life. So in terms of what you can manifest, because a lot of the time people hear, people saying I'm manifesting something. What that means is they are calling something into their life, whether it's a job, a house, a relationship, money, career advancement, whatever it is. But sometimes it can actually be emotional manifestations as well, which I highly, highly always recommend to people because feeling is the essence of manifestation. Mm-hmm. So for me in those early days, it was manifesting, recovering from depression. It was feeling happy, learning to love myself. So it's not just materialistic things you can manifest, it is those emotional side of things as well. And there are no limits to what you can call in as well. Everything is possible, and it's about having the power to be the creator of your life and step into that and realize, from here on out, I can create the life of my dreams.
Yeah, and I love that about like the emotional manifestation. It's so true and such a good thing to highlight, because often we might think it's the relationship or the career advancement or the house, but it's actually the feeling that it will give
Yeah.
us that we really want. And sometimes if we just say, I'm, you know, bringing that feeling, like you mentioned, the self-love, it can come in whatever way it's meant to then for you almost. So it's almost like it's up to the universe, and whatever's for you, it will come to you in that way. Because I know even for myself, like manifestations, sometimes the things come and in the most unexpected ways, and you're like, oh, this is what I
Mm.
wanted, but it's not showing up exactly how I thought, because the universe is so broad, and things just come to you in different ways, and you have to just be open to that, I suppose. But
Yeah, and what you've
yeah.
described there is so classic manifestation, because it will always appear in an unexpected way. I have exactly the same experiences. I've never met anybody who said, yeah, it manifested exactly how I saw it, and exactly, the like for like, it will always manifest in an unexpected way, because that's how we let go. That's how we surrender. And we're always manifesting from our lens, from our ability of what we believe is possible. So that's why it's so important to be open to all possibilities, because, like you say, then you welcome in it in the most aligned way.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? It's interesting. Um, so yeah, was there a particular moment or experience then that sparked your passion for teaching this? So I know it was that time in your life when you really found manifestation and helped you get through that depression, and cultivate self-love. But what was the moment that you're like, I want to share this with others?
Yeah, so I already had a YouTube and a blog at that time. So I was in a very different industry. I was known as the coupon queen, and I had a money saving blog and YouTube channel. So I was already teaching people how to get out of debt, because that was my kind of first awakening that happened in 2012 with my ex. So I was kind of already teaching people to feel better and more positive with money. And then having that manifestation kind of knowledge as well just kind of really took it to the next depth. And naturally, I was talking about it. I was kind of documenting sort of more lifestyle vlog wise in terms of, my manifestation journey. And I thought, people are going to think I'm mad, talking about money saving, couponing, law of attraction, like they do not go hand in hand, but people loved it. And, a lot of my community was saying, yeah, I've read The Secret. I know about this. It's so great. And then naturally people wanted to hear more. So really about a year into my journey, it was just becoming more and more clear how much of my community wanted me to talk about the things I'd manifested, because I'd manifested huge things in those first year. And obviously people were inspired, and they're like, Emma, how are you doing this? Tell us. So for me, it was a very natural integration into the work I already had, even though it didn't feel natural at the time. And yeah, like a year in, I realized, what? I think this is what my purpose is evolving into. I love helping people. I love teaching people. I love sharing these teachings with people. And I feel that I'm so much more than money, and that I can help people really cultivate their dream life, because that's what I was able to do in that year period. So, yeah, it was gradual. And then I manifested the buyer for my first business and managed
Oh my
to sell
God.
that, which was incredible. So, yeah, in 2017, I kind of really went full time, went all into Spiritual Queen, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? Um, and you seem so comfortable with manifestation. Like you're good, like you're pals. Like, and I know maybe for sometimes people are like, can we like, I know for myself sometimes I'm like, oh my God, how am I even gonna manifest that? Like, where do I even start? But I imagine, like you said, through time and this kind of organic progression of people wanting to hear more about how to manifest, and like manifesting your first buyer of your business, like I'd imagine like your confidence builds then, and you really learn to trust the whole process of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is that lived experience. And when I
Yeah.
teach how to build your trust muscle and your belief muscle, it is in those two pillars of lived experience, first of all, and mindset is the second. So, somebody who shows up today, day one, never hearing of manifestation before, they're obviously going to have a very different level of belief to someone who's been doing it 20 years, for example. So, lived experience is definitely so important to have, to be able to show your subconscious mind and that trust muscle that, well, we have done it before. We have always been supported. Miracles have shown up. I have manifested all of these incredible things. So it is natural when you are at those beginner stages to be like, well, how do I trust this is going to happen? Because you've never done it before, or you might
Yeah.
have done it before, but you didn't know it was manifesting. So drawing upon those lived experiences is really important. And even if you're in those beginner stages, I think inspiration, like listening to podcasts like this, or, even on my YouTube, we've got manifestation success stories from my community. Just listening to other people's stories, I think is so inspiring and shows you this is possible, not just for
Yeah.
Emma, but possible for so many millions of people across the world. I mean, it's possible for everybody, but the millions of people are the ones talking about it. So yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think, getting yourself in spaces where people are talking about their manifestations and it's going to inspire you is really, really good in those beginner stages.
Yeah, like surrounding yourself with that vibration of people
Yeah.
like-minded that are also wanting to manifest. Yeah, I love that. So your new book then, Aligned Abundance. For anyone listening, what exactly is Aligned Abundance and how does it differ from, say, traditional or other manifestation books out there?
Yeah, so it is the first and only book on alignment in the manifestation process, which, to be honest, shocked me when I was researching the book and obviously pitching it to the publishers. I was like, hang on a minute, how has nobody spoken about alignment before? Like, this is madness to me because it is such an up and coming topic. More people were interested in it. I'd been speaking about it since 2020. So there was a natural kind of interest of surely the next book is on alignment, Emma. So yeah, it was really interesting to me to see that some books had mentioned it in the form of balance before, some kind of old school manifestation books, but there wasn't a specific book on the process of alignment or how you get into alignment or how alignment hugely impacts that manifestation process. So the book kind of took itself on its own journey, as it always does, and it turned into this, incredible book full of energetic practices with manifestation. So my previous books are very practical, they're very like logical, they're very like, here's a step-by-step process. And, Positively Wealthy was that, 33-day fun challenge book to get your toes dipped in, get manifesting, and almost like a nice reset challenge. Whereas Hurt, Healing, Healed was the inner work, going into the mind, limiting beliefs and fears. So I knew that Aligned Abundance was almost like that natural progression, that almost like next step of tapping into the energetics of manifestation and energy work, and really tapping into the magnetism. I mean, the literal cover of it is a mirror ball. It looks like a disco ball. So it
Gorgeous. I
literally
love it.
is magnetic. And I was saying in an interview yesterday, actually, it's kind of like a mirror, which is the mirror of life with
Yeah,
law of
so
attraction.
true. Yeah, such a good
I didn't even
metaphor.
know that. So yeah, aligned abundance is your soul's abundance, your soul's song. It is essentially, and I really found this across the years in my communities that many people would comment that they'd manifested their dream job, and it's always jobs that I see, sometimes relationships as well, but community members would be manifesting their dream jobs, and then 6 months down the line they would be saying, I don't understand, I thought this was my dream job, but it's not, it's hell, I want to get out, I don't understand what's happened here. Same with relationships, same with houses. And I really started to look into what is the misalignment here, what is causing these, I don't want to say tests because I don't believe the universe tests us, but what are these kind of tests, ironically, that come along, and we obviously have to learn what we do want, and we have to learn through that manifestation. And it really was looking at comparison and looking at what I see online in terms of people feeling comparisons in their manifestations around, oh, well, so and so is manifesting that on Instagram, so I should be manifesting that. And you'll be surprised how many clients who come to one-to-ones with me, and I really get to the kind of depth of their why they're manifesting that. And a lot of the time they can't tell me their why, or they're like, oh, well, I just thought I should be manifesting £1 million because isn't that what everybody's doing? And this is that misalignment. And it's not to say your desires are right or wrong, only you can answer that for yourself. But it's really looking at the deeper meaning and purpose of why you are manifesting that thing. Is it in alignment with your soul? Is it in alignment with your highest timeline? And how can we make it feel effortless for you? Manifestation is not meant to feel hard. It's us as humans who put resistance, who put blocks up, who love a good practice, and we love to overcomplicate things. So Aligned abundance really kind of streamlines the process, removes the unnecessary things and the myths, and really gets you tapping into your natural magneticness, your nervous system as well, because our nervous system has to be regulated to receive our desires through embodiment. And it really is, the subtitle of it is Release Expectations and Become Magnetic. But it really is that, how do we tap into that flow? How do we tap into the vibration of alignment to align ourselves with our desire?
Well, it sounds amazing. I'm thinking of my own manifestations as you're talking there, and it's so true. Like, I think if we really sat with ourselves, like, often we are manifesting a new car because of the status it'll give us, or a certain amount of money because, sure, everybody wants £1 million, like you said. And actually, we need to sit with ourselves and be like, what do I truly want? Like, what's aligned for me right now in my life? Yeah, there's so much, like, it almost is like a sense of accountability too with it as well, with whatever it is that you're wanting to manifest, to become accountable of that.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing. I'm like, everyone will be getting these for Christmas presents. I know I'm like thinking people in my head like, they'd love this book. um why do you feel that this method with the alignment in this book, Aligned Abundance, is needed now in the community? I know you mentioned like previous books you hadn't really seen it. Yeah, why do you feel it's like this message is needed to be heard?
Yeah, and it was a big leap of faith with this book because it got rejected from so many publishers, even my own publisher who eventually published it. So they didn't understand it. Every time I pitched it, they were like, we don't understand what alignment is. We don't think people want this. We don't think it's, necessary. We don't need another book on manifestation. And it was so hard to navigate. I think it was about a year until it got signed. It was hard to navigate that journey because I was just being told every single day from the universe, this book needs to come out. So obviously, where there's a will, there's a way. I'm always going to find a way. Even if I self-published it, it would have come out. But it was hard to keep that faith and to really trust that process. Whilst, I was having rejections and no's, but every single no taught me what alignment was. And that year period really enhanced my own journey with this book, with Aligned Abundance, with embodying these teachings myself. And I remember I look back at the proposal that I pitched at the beginning of that year to what I pitched at the end once I'd kind of integrated the lessons, learned it, and thought, hang on a minute, that old manuscript is not Aligned Abundance. This whole new one is. It taught me what alignment was. So I'd gone throughout the year, I'd changed the name of the book. It was called Aligned before. I'd developed it with Penguin, a publisher, and literally they turned around and said, we just don't think our audience is going to get it. And I was like, oh my God, I've literally gone through this for a year now. So it was that Christmas and in 2023. And I was like, right, I don't understand, universe, what I've got to do here. Like, all the doors are closed. There are no other options. Of course, come January, I can pitch again, try again, go to some different publishers, sure. But what am I missing here? What is the misalignment? And I looked through over that Christmas period, the manuscript, and I realized that the teachings were so outdated because I'd probably gone through like 3 lifetimes in that year. I'd up leveled so much. I was a total different person, but the manuscript didn't match who I was in that period of time. So I really refined the chapters, everything. I deleted 10,000 words. I rewrote 10,000 words. And within 2 weeks, I was like, this is the best manuscript I've ever submitted. Like, this energy, these teachings, I was like, this is aligned abundance. And come January, or I think it was just before Christmas actually, my publisher reached back out once I'd updated this manuscript and proposed, when I was like, okay, I'll start again in January. They reached out to me, and it had probably been 8-9 months, and they said, Emma, that book on alignment you pitched to us, we want to look at it again. We feel like it's, might be interesting. And I was like, interesting you say this, because I've updated the manuscript, it's ready for you.
Yeah, they
And
came to you. That's amazing.
talk about the magneticness,
Yeah.
and the surrenderedness of that as well. I wasn't chasing it. I was totally like, right, I'm gonna have to think of some new publishers to pitch
Yeah.
to. And yeah, within 2 weeks, the deal was signed. And that is unheard of in publishing because of how long it takes and all the approvals and the meetings you have to have. So I signed it on I think it was the new moon in Capricorn on that January. And it was just like so divine. And I was like, that is aligned abundance of trusting my intuition, trusting that this book needed to come out, trusting that alignment. And you look, alignment is everywhere now. So I'm like, yeah, told you, you got to trust me. This was going to be popular. And now everybody wants to learn about alignment. So the reason why I feel this book is so necessary and why its message is powerful is because of how it transformed my life in terms of hustling and pushing and forcing for manifestations, and now instead magnetizing, receiving, and relaxing into receiving as well. That's a big message of the book. The nervous system work that this book took me through changed my life forever. And I was great at manifesting before. I'd been doing it for many years, but regulating my nervous system and learning how to attract from a place of alignment just went, it all blew up in like magnificent ways. And I was like, it was like a tap. It was like the tap was like dripping before. And it was like alignment just like became this like flood, this gushing of water of abundance, which was so incredible to witness because it didn't actually take that much work, which was great. And that's the process I walk you through in the book. But alignment is at the core of everything. And when we look at alignment, our balance, what we're in line with, what we honor within ourselves, that's authenticity. And the true core essence of manifestation is authentic energy. And that's not, are you authentic? That's manifesting from an authentic space. Because if we're faking it until we're making it, that mirror of life again is reflecting that back to us. So manifestation is authentic because you can't fake it. The universe knows if you are truly surrendered. The universe knows if you truly believe you're worthy and deserving of that desire because it's going to reflect it back to you. So really, when we look at alignment, it is that piece of coming into alignment within ourselves, first of all, to be able to authentically, energetically align with our desire. And then we come into alignment with our desire by tuning into that frequency and matching it and magnetizing it into our reality.
That's amazing. Like even hearing how like this creation that you manifest, this book, then took you through the paces of it, and you had to align. Like you had to go
Literally.
through the actual alignment. So I imagine like it just even drove and increased your passion and purpose for getting this message out even more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And even just listening to you talk about like the authenticity piece, which I think is so big. And I know personally for me, maybe someone else listening, it's like often when we manifest things, I think holding it is the hard thing. It's like once it comes, then it's like it's the self-worth, it's the self-sabotage. And again, it's I suppose that authenticity piece of like, I'm manifesting this from a place of self-love, I'm manifesting this because I'm worthy of experiencing joy or peace or fulfillment, whatever it is. I imagine like, would you have people reaching out or even one-to-one clients that it's like when the manifestation comes, it's like, okay, how like can I hold this now?
Yeah, and this is a really interesting conversation because I feel like I'm talking about this left, right, and center at the moment because of the nervous system piece, which features heavily in the book. So it's not just about manifesting your desire, it's about holding and sustaining it as well, as you said. And I always love to use lottery winners as an example of this because it gives a really practical example of what can happen when the nervous system isn't wired to hold and receive your desires and sustain them. So the statistic is 33% of lottery winners are more likely to become bankrupt than the average American, which is wild. And I showed some examples in a recent workshop that I did that there were two UK lottery winners who won something like 9.7 million, and within I think it was 5 years he'd gambled it all away, drinks, drugs, partying, everything, and he was back to being broke and working his original job. And then there was an American example as well where she'd won the lottery twice, not just once, twice, multi-millions as well. So she was clearly in the frequency to manifest it, but she again blew it wasted it. It was then gone within a few years and she was back to living in her original trailer. Now, that's not to say any of those lifestyles are wrong, but you can see here what can happen when you come into great wealth and you're not wired and your mindset is not at that level to succeed and sustain that wealth. So this isn't to put anybody off thinking like, oh my God, I'm not ready to manifest that love. But it's more of a case of looking at, okay, it's not just about how I manifest this love. Can I actually be the best version of myself in that relationship to sustain it? Am I in a place to show up as my best self for my partner? These are just great questions to ask yourself, because you're right, you will start self-sabotaging and people might even notice those patterns already in previous relationships or previous examples of money where you hold it and then you're like, oh heck no, I need to get rid of this as quick as possible. And that is what the nervous system is doing. If it doesn't feel safe with that level of money, that relationship, love, kind of that presentness, it will do everything in its power to get it away from you, because our nervous system is primal. It's not, it doesn't evolve like, or it hasn't evolved in the way that our minds have, and obviously us as humans has logically. So our nervous system is still wired to protect us from like bears and tigers, and it's that fight or flight response. So if our nervous system is deeming that that money, that relationship is a threat to us, it is doing its job by keeping us safe and alive. And logically, reasonably, we know that money and a relationship isn't necessarily going to harm us, but our subconscious mind is filtering those beliefs, those memories, those experiences that we've had in our life to the nervous system to say, oh no, money's not safe. Because remember that time when we wasted money before? Do you remember that time when money came to us and then something bad happened? Yep, keep the money away from us. Or, do you remember that time we were in that relationship and they hurt us and that was really bad and we don't want to be hurt again? So nope, keep love away from us. So this is what happens. The subconscious communicates with the nervous system, and then our nervous system is our inner magnet. Because what happens is that in manifestation, we first manifest through our aura, our energy field. So it first comes into our energy, and then we bring it into the crown chakra, into our mind, the subconscious mind. Then we bring it finally down as the third step into the body through embodiment. And that's why it's called embodiment, because we are embodying the desire into our reality. So if we're bringing it in spiritually into our energy field, we're bringing it into the mind through the cognitive work, but we're never bringing it down into the soma, into the body through embodiment. There's this disconnection where it's going to feel like, oh, I've done all the inner work, like I've done the belief set. Why is my outer reality not reflecting my inner world? This is something I hear so often with this work, where people are sick and tired of doing the inner work. They're sick and tired of doing all these things, but they're not walking their talk. They're never embodying the work and the manifestation through that nervous system capacity. So when you can expand your nervous system capacity to meet the new level that you're at, whether it's wealth, love, whatever, that's when it manifests into your reality and stays. So it's not that it can't manifest into your reality, as we've seen, it does for a lot of people, but it's about then nurturing and being able to hold that as well. So I think it's just important that people know that it's not about just getting the thing, it's how you're going to sustain that thing as well, so that it is in alignment, it stays, it's lasting, and it's healthy for you as well.
Yes, that makes so much sense. Like, do you feel safe enough to hold this, to receive this? And like, even how you said like the nervous system is the magnet, I was like, oh my god, that's actually like, it was like an aha moment for me, realizing that if the nervous system doesn't feel safe, it's in like fight or flight, or again that fear response, of course that things are going to happen that will again sabotage or just jeopardize that. Yeah, and I imagine that's a big piece too that you mentioned is in the book, that people don't realize, like when that thing comes, the feeling, the job, the person, whatever it is, a relationship, it's a holding it, like feeling safe to hold that. Yeah, it's powerful, isn't it?
It changes everything. It honestly changes everything. And I feel if there was one bit of work that I would say, it would change your life, is alignment and nervous system work.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds it. Um, what would be some common signs then that someone is out of alignment, even if they think like they're doing, say, quote unquote, the right manifestation techniques? What would be like some telltale signs?
Yeah, and I think I'm going to bring the alignment protocol into this just because it helps to see it in a more practical sense. So when we're feeling out of alignment, we feel misaligned, we might feel stuck, we might feel stagnant. Like with me with the book, doors closing, no way forward, going around in a circle, getting frustrated, just feeling like no matter what you're doing, you're not making progress. You kind of feel like this uphill struggle, this uphill battle. And that is when we feel out of alignment. It could be with a book, it could be with a partner, it could be with the season of life we're in. There's so many different, and I talk about in the book, the different types of seasonal alignment as well, micro daily alignments, seasonal alignments, lifetime alignments as well. So there's lots of different types of alignment in alignment as a whole. But when we feel in alignment, we flow. And that we know what alignment feels like. If I was to say to you, name me a time that you felt flow, that you felt magnetic, things just happened, it felt easy, you just felt so inspired and so creative, and you just felt so in flow with that moment, in that with that desire. That is alignment, when things happen effortlessly. But what shifts us from that misalignment into alignment is, of course, the alignment protocol and the steps in that, but also intention plus action equals your result. So let's use the book example here again. Of my intention was to publish this book, my action was to pitch and obviously speak to publishers and get it out there. But my action, the manuscript, was misaligned because it didn't reflect the version of me who I was. It didn't reflect the teachings, and it didn't reflect what actually needed to be in the book at that time. So the result was staying the same. I was getting no's, closed doors, getting frustrated, going around in circles. But when I up leveled and aligned the action, the result manifested effortlessly, quickly. So when we can change either the intention or the action, we change the result. So it all starts off by looking at that sum, looking at your intention and your action, and shifting something, shifting that energy, shifting that vibration to create a different result. So the alignment protocol that I teach in the book is to stop. First of all, if it was in alignment, it would be flowing. Stop forcing and hitting yourself against a brick wall, because it's not going to come down as hard as you hit your head. And then reset. So reset the energy. I up-leveled that manuscript. I looked at, is this in alignment with me here in this season? Absolutely not. It didn't resonate with me anymore. So I up-leveled it to match the frequency of where I was and what was a hell freaking yes. What was that? This is the best thing I've ever written. It was that energy. And then I realigned of, I had the intention of, I was going to pitch to new publishers. I still held that vision of, okay, I don't know how the heck this is going to happen at this point. It would need a miracle, but I am going to keep trusting that intuition, keep trusting that vision, and knowing that I feel so in alignment with this book now that no matter how it's going to come out, it's going to come out. And I didn't know that my publisher was going to reach out to me. They'd said no, they weren't interested. You know, the evidence that I had was a no. But something shifted clearly in those energetics for that timeline to align, for that door to open. So that stop, reset, and realign piece is so important, because then you put yourself back in the field of opportunity and possibility to welcome in miracles, to welcome in those miraculous emails, those miraculous phone calls, those miraculous offers where you're like, whoa, where did this come from? That is on the other side of resetting and realigning that energy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like even that like realigning your action, and like I imagine I could just take a level of self-awareness too, to actually be like, okay, like what isn't aligned with my action or my intention, or like, do I need to stop, reset, realign? But it, like, the powerful thing that I'm really like feeling with all of this is that it keeps coming back to us. It always comes back to us. It's not anyone else's doing. It's not like we're relying on someone else to do this for us. It's not even like we're relying on the universe. It's ourself and our magnetism, and it all comes back to us. And I think that can be a powerful or even peaceful reminder that it's like it's all down to you and your own power, which I'm really hearing is coming through in the book as well. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is that reclaiming your power piece for sure. And all spiritual work, all manifestation work is only ever bringing you home to yourself in whatever way that looks like. So when you are in your authentic power, and one mantra that I feel like I share everywhere because of how incredible it is even saying to yourself daily, I reclaim my power. I call back all the lost pieces of myself.
Yeah.
Oh, when you do that, literally just drop back in. And we give away our power so subtly every single day through small things, through big ways. So just even saying a mantra like that just ensures you're in your body, you're in your energy, you're in your power. Because when you are, one, you're in alignment, but secondly, you're going to make such better decisions and be able to manifest and co-create from such a more effortless place.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, it's like bringing those parts of you, parts of your soul, your energy back to that magnet that, like you said, can go through different people we meet, different experiences, different parts of our timeline, even our subconscious. It's just we can lose pieces of our power. And again, in the nervous system, the fear, afraid to reclaim it, afraid to really step into the authenticity. But when we something like I reclaim my power is like, it's deep. It's deep. For sure. You often teach that, like, it's inevitable that your desires like become like into fruition. What needs to shift for the desires to become inevitable, or what needs to happen?
Nothing.
Oh, I love
Nothing.
that.
Nothing technically. Your
Yeah.
desires are inevitable, period. It's us who need to shift into believing they're inevitable. So it's us who are the shift. But in terms of what makes it inevitable, nothing needs to shift. It's already yours. You want it so badly because a future version of yourself already has it. That is why you want it so badly. That's why it's all you think about. That's why you are listening to this podcast to work out how on earth I get past this block to bring it into my reality. So you don't need to do anything to make it inevitable. The fact that it's been placed in your heart is for a reason. But this is a lack of trust. This is just a disconnection between that trust piece of trusting that you can manifest it maybe, or that it's possible, or that it can come to you. But you don't need to do anything to make it inevitable. You just need to align your mindset, your beliefs, your trust muscle to be in a place where you know it's inevitable. You are in that frequency of, oh, it is happening. I know it's already mine. So even just that mantra of like, it's already mine, it's on its way. I want
Yeah.
it so badly because a future version of myself already has it is a great affirmation to work with. But I would really look at the trust relationship. And I'm going to go into the receiving piece as well, because I shared this on a podcast yesterday, actually. They are so linked. Whenever I have someone come to me and say, gosh, Emma, when you talk about receiving, it really resonates with me. Like, I really struggle to receive. I have a terrible relationship with receiving. I'm like, okay, you need to work on your trust muscle. And they're like, how did you know that I had a bad relationship with trust? And I'm like, because every single person I come across at this point, it's always the same. They always have
Yeah.
that disconnection between the two. So it's like clockwork now. But I'll start off with receiving. So to be an aligned manifestor, to receive your desires, to make them inevitable, you have to be able to receive. It's the fifth step in my 5-step process of receive. It's the last step. In order to get your manifestations, you are going to have to receive, right? But do we allow ourselves to receive in everyday life, whether that's support, hugs, free coffees, whether that's someone offering to pay for something, gifts?
Even
How
compliments
we,
I'm
yeah,
making.
compliments,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like, how do you feel when you receive those things? Is it uncomfortable? Does it feel like, oh, like we all have these little reactions of like, oh, I'm not too comfortable with it. Or some people are like, I hate it, Emma. I cannot stand it. So
Yeah.
everybody's going to have a different response to this. But look at your relationship with receiving, because your relationship with receiving is a direct correlation to your ability to receive abundance. And I had an absolutely terrible receiving relationship a few years ago, terrible. And I was like, I'm the one to make it happen. Like, I don't trust receiving. And you can guess that, yes, I was still manifesting, but I was hustling. I was making it all happen. And this aligned abundance book walked me through, this is not how you actually manifest, Emma. You're just controlling things. How you really effortlessly manifest and manifest through alignment is being that aligned receiver as well. So I had to look at my blocks to receiving. I had to look at what stopped me from receiving, what made me feel uncomfortable, what broke that trust to receive as well. So when I started to challenge myself to not, when my friend would offer to pay for a coffee, not be like, oh, don't be silly, I'll get this. Just say, thank you, that would be great, thank you. Or if someone gets me a gift, just taking that moment of, I deserve this, thank you, that's a lovely gift, thank you. So stop yourself, catch yourself, stop yourself, and just say thank you. Allow yourself to receive it. It will become easier and easier and easier as you build that receiving muscle to say thank you, instead of oh, don't be silly, I'll get it, or no, you don't have to do that.
Yes.
Let
Yes.
people support you and ask for help as well. If you need support around the house or with a project or in work, ask for help and support, because the more you do, the more you're going to really align that receiving muscle. So then we move on to trust. And as I shared in the beginning, trust is built through lived experience and mindset. So looking at the blocks of what stops you from being able to trust that it is already yours. So when you work on the receiving piece and you work on the trust piece around trusting that, yes, you can manifest it, trusting that it's able to come in, but trusting that you can hold and sustain your desire. A lot of the time, and this comes back to that nervous system piece, a lot of the time people place trust externally of, I trust the universe, I trust this is coming to me. But trust always stems from internal first of all. Do I trust myself? Do I trust myself to make good decisions? Do I
Yes.
trust myself to hold and sustain this desire? Do I trust myself to look after this abundance? So it always starts with that I, first of all. Do I actually trust myself? And with some mindset work, you can look at the beliefs behind that and shift that into beginning to trust yourself and your decisions. Also, intuition is going to come into this as well, of how can you trust your intuition if you don't trust yourself? So there's a lot of different moving parts here that all come into this trust piece. But when you work on receiving, trust, intuition, that's how you align with, I know it's already mine, because you remove the fears, you remove the blocks, and know through lived experience, through examples, through trusting your intuition, and through that built mindset of, I trust myself, that's how you make it inevitable.
Yeah. That's like, yeah, like that trust. I love how you like you worded that. Like we often do say, I trust the universe, I trust my path, I trust, that it's coming to me. But it's within. Again, coming back to the nervous system and coming into even the intuition that you mentioned, like the intuition to know what is aligned for us, what is it that we truly want. The intuition to trust that, and also the intuition to know, like you said, it's because our future version of ourselves already has it. That's why we want
Mm.
it so bad. That's why we think about it. Um yeah, it's all, everything is connected, isn't it, really, in
Yeah.
in this book. It seems like it all just connects back to each other. um it's beautiful. It's beautiful work. I'm sitting here like, wow, I'm really emotional listening to it, because it's just that beautiful message of we are the key, we are the secret,
Mm.
um,
Isn't that a song? I feel like that's a song. I got the key,
oh
you got
yeah,
the
I
secret.
got, yeah, oh my god, it is. I didn't write it. I'd love to know, what embodiment practices do you personally use or recommend to help people really anchor into their desires?
So embodiment is a becoming. It's not a doing, it's a becoming. So it's not mindset work, because you've already done that in step 2 of belief. So embodiment comes into the 4th step of letting go, and it's really walking your talk. So this is where I shared earlier of many people do the inner work, they do the mindset work, but then there's this disconnection between bringing it into the body. And it's more of a becoming. There is some physical things you can do as well to it, but it's not necessarily you're working harder to change your beliefs. It's you're now actioning that. So a classic example of this is, for instance, if someone comes from a trauma identity and they have been working through that in mindset work, maybe some therapy, they've been working on their beliefs and identities around that, there is going to come a point where they have to then start walking that talk. And say, for instance, if somebody has had some blocks around procrastination or something, there is a time they are going to have to start changing those habits and implement the habits of the version of themselves who has that desire. So it's almost like that kick up the bum of, now we got to walk the talk. So are you actually walking the talk, or are you just hoping the universe is going to just land it in your lap? It's all just going to like happen. You've not got to take aligned action. So embodiment is a becoming of becoming the energetic alignment to your desire. And that naturally happens through those first 3 steps in the process. So it's not, embodiment's not necessarily like do more, it's actually do less a lot of the time. But it's that real essence of walking your talk, showing up as the version of yourself. And that looks like habits, routines, maybe that's up leveling something you're wearing, or really just thinking about that version of myself who has my desire. How do they style their hair? What clothes are they wearing? How are they feeling? What are they doing day to day? It's then walking the talk of embodying that sense. So there are some practical things you can do, like habit work, leveling things that feel in alignment to, but really it's becoming. And becoming can look so different for everybody. It can be something small, it could be something big, it could be a big change, it could be a small change, but you are eventually going to have to walk differently to be able to embody it. So that's where I shared of the intention plus action equals result. You are going to have to do something different to then
Yes.
become that embodiment of all the work you've done, the frequency to align with the timeline of it. So some things that I love to do for a different sense of embodiment, because embodiment's an energetic side of things, but I think sometimes we want a physical, tangible action to take. And I've shared the habits and routine side of things, but actually even nervous system work can really help us to embody, because just relaxing that nervous system, regulating the nervous system, allows us to tap into our authentic self more and tap into the work that we have done to implement those changes. So forget the inner work. If you're not in that place and you've done it already, you've done it. You don't need to do more. It is about shifting the frequency, embodying the work you've done at this stage to actually see the shifts and results in your reality. But there could be some beliefs still there that could stop you from taking that action. But that means you're still in that step two. You're not actually in that step four of letting go and that embodiment piece. So it's important to catch what is underneath that resistance. Is it actually just like a fear of change, and actually you just need to take that step and the nervous system regulation is going to support you with that? Or is it actually that there is still a limiting belief and fear under there, and more work kind of needs to be done in those earlier stages to marry this up later on to happen more effortlessly and naturally? So some nervous system supporters to help you to tap into your nervous system and regulate it so it's expanding its capacity to receive is things like nature and sunshine, getting out, walking in nature as early as possible in the day as you can, get some vitamin D on your face. I know it's hard in the UK, but as much as you can. Breath work's another good one for real embodiment. If you do have a very dysregulated nervous system, breath work can be a little bit activating. So it might not be for everybody, but if you do feel good overall, breath work's a great one to work on with embodying it into the body, the soma. Tapping EFTs a great one as well to regulate the nervous system and get you embodied into the energy and frequency of what you want. Turning down the noise of life if things are feeling a bit overstimulating, a bit much, just slowing down the pace and listening to what your body needs as well. So really focusing on expanding that capacity of the nervous system will help you to embody all the work you've done in those previous 4 steps.
Yeah. And even like listening to you talk, I think like myself personally, I think the embodiment is probably the part that I'm careful with my words here now because I'm manifesting all the time.
No, rubbish.
Yeah.
You've got to
Okay,
honor
good.
your words. You've got to honor
Um,
your words.
yeah. It's the part that, or the piece that I would maybe struggle with the most, like the aligned action and like the showing up as. But even listening to you talk, often it's because maybe there's still a belief there. There's still something in the subconscious. Is the nervous system regulated? Does it feel like, do you feel safe to take these steps? So it's almost like we can't load on all of these things of I'm going to dress like the job I want, or I'm going to create the habits. But if the nervous system and the subconscious isn't ready, that's maybe why I can fall short. And I'm like, maybe that's why I have I have like struggled with it.
Yeah.
And so with the
And I
book
think
then,
people, sorry,
sorry,
I
no,
was
go
just going
on.
to say, with embodiment as well, people try to force it quite early on of like, I'm just going to embody my desire, but it is the very last thing in that 4th step before receiving. So it's important to know the 5 steps where you're at. They're in my books, they're on my YouTube channel if people want to learn what those are. So yeah, identify where you are in that process, because if you are in that step 2 of the belief still, you're in step 2, you're not in step 4 of embodiment.
Yeah.
So you're kind of trying to force yourself to be in a step that you're not authentically in. And that doesn't mean that, oh my God, it's ages away. It can shift so quickly when you do that work. But I would, for yourself and for anybody listening, one tool that I really love to use in this example is to write a day in the life. So almost like a scripting exercise of how does that version of me brush my teeth? How do they do their makeup? How do they eat breakfast? I'll literally, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, describe this day in the life with my desire. And that really gives me key information, because then how I brush my teeth, for example, is something probably quite easy to do. It's not like changing my outfit or changing my hair or changing my friendship circle or whatever. It is just how I brush my teeth or how I eat my breakfast or what I have for breakfast. So you can actually start off with those more micro habits of just subtle things that you
Yeah.
can pick up on, that you can start to embody just one by one. There's not a race, how do you brush your teeth? How do you eat your breakfast? What do you have for breakfast? How do you feel throughout the day? Who do you speak to throughout the day? What environments are you in? Just all of these things you can think about as you're scripting and journaling help you to get a better picture of what embodiment needs to happen for you to become this story, become this scripting, become this person. So start off small, even if it's just changing how you brush your teeth. I always say to people when they're trying to manifest £1 million, I'm like, okay, how would that millionaire version of yourself brush their teeth? And they're like, what? And I'm like, no, how
Yeah.
would your millionaire self brush their teeth? Because this is important.
Probably a nice electric toothbrush and expensive
Yeah,
toothpaste.
literally.
Um, it's amazing though, isn't it? And like, even as you were saying, I was going to ask, and you kind of just like confirmed that, like, I imagine the book then, like each step, like for one person, they might be at the first step for a week. Another person, it might be a couple of weeks to really work through that. So would you recommend like to read the book through and then maybe go back through the steps, or to kind of stay with it as you're working through it?
Yeah, so the steps are on each book, so it depends what book. But if you are in aligned abundance, yeah, it might be helpful to like read the book first and then go back, because at the end of each chapter there's tasks, there's actions, there's some
Yeah.
journaling prompts to embody the work. So the whole book is a process of embodiment
Yeah.
for anybody wanting to focus on that. And that's why I really love putting practical tools and exercises in there, because I don't just want people to be like, that sounds nice, but how do I do it? I want
Yeah.
you to walk out a completely different frequency and in the results that you want. So, yeah, you could read the book through from cover to cover, take all in the teachings, and then go back and do the
Yeah.
exercises when you feel you're ready to, or you could take it one chapter at a time. I do recommend doing it in order. The order and process is there
Yes.
for a reason, to guide you through each step. But yeah, you'll soon start to identify, okay, am I in this place of inner work? Am I in a place of aligned action that feels blocked? Or actually, is it the letting go, surrendering, and embodiment piece that is kind of that missing final puzzle piece?
Yeah, and then like I imagine like with each of the books, it's like a book that you'll keep forever, because you might want to go and revisit it. You might want to work through the steps again. There might be something else that you're trying to manifest, and so you can revisit it then. And like you said, it's all thought out. So following the steps then will create that integration and that flow then for everything to kind of align.
Perfectly.
What do you hope readers take away most from your new book, Aligned Abundance?
Ooh, I love this question. I would say I would love for people to take away that their desires are inevitable, that they are already theirs, and they can really relax into that knowing. I would love for them to take away regulating their nervous system, because I just feel if all of us had a regulated nervous system that we were operating from, life would feel so much more effortless. We'd be able to handle things better, the good times and the unexpected things that come up. So I think the nervous system piece is so important, and that's what I really want people to take away, is loving their bodies, realizing that embodiment is that final piece, and that nervous system capacity is what is either magnetizing or repelling your desires. And more than anything, to have fun with manifesting. I think it can get so serious and so like, you
Yes.
have to do this and you must do this. And I just think that's not actually what real manifestation is. So for me, I'd love for people to just see this book as fun and expansive, and, teach them some things about their nervous system, but more than anything, show them that anything is possible and that they can have fun using the energy work of manifestation.
Yeah, anything is possible and have fun. I love that. And something that I'm actually taking away from our conversation, which I was a real like aha for me, was when you were like, oh, rubbish, like honor your words. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, it's so true. Like, there is that kind of message out there of like, careful what you say, like, because you're
Yeah,
constantly manifesting. But then, like, if we're not honoring our words, we're not being authentic. So then we're not in our magnetism. So
absolutely.
it makes sense what you were saying. Like, no, honor your words, you know?
Yeah, feeling is healing. And
Yeah.
there is such this old school teaching, you're right, in terms of like, don't think negative thoughts. If you have a negative thought, bad things going to happen. We're always manifesting. Watch your words. And I always say to people, that's not what manifests. We have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. That is a heck of a lot of thoughts. Not all of them are going to be positive. And we don't live in a world of instantaneous manifestation, thank God. So honoring your thoughts, honoring your real struggle is important, because that's awareness. And without awareness, like you said, you can't be authentic, and you're not going to be able to move through that block if you're not acknowledging that it's there, or that's something you generally struggle with. So yeah, it's so important that we honor our words, we honor how we're feeling, because when we do, it moves through us so much quicker and authentically, so we can authentically move up that vibrational scale, instead of faking it until we making it, being like, I'm positive, all is well, and inside you're like crying because you're already struggling. You
Yeah.
know, you're going to still feel that emotional resonance. Whereas when you talk about things and you honor things and you realize that what actually does create our reality is who we are, our identities, and our persistent dominant vibration, not having a bad day, because that is the law of polarity. So many people pigeonhole the law of attraction as the be all and end all. And I love it. I teach it day in, day out. Believe me, it is incredible. But it's not the whole picture. There are 6 other energetic laws. The law of polarity is one of them. And without having a bad day, how would we know what a good day felt like? Without experiencing the polar opposites, how would we know what happiness feels like? So we need those days where we feel like crap, where we feel doubt, where we feel like, is it going to happen? Because it's important feedback from the subconscious and the soul of what needs some attention and what we need to focus on. So I thank those thoughts that come up now, because it's showing me what I need to work on, or what needs some care, what needs some attention. So yeah, when we can speak to ourselves with love and honor those thoughts, honor those feelings, they dissipate so much quicker, instead of fighting and resisting it and feeling like you're at battle. Because, you know, if I told you like, don't think a negative thought, I guarantee a negative thought is going to come up in your head. Our brains are literally wired to do this. So
Yes.
it's having that awareness and that compassion of, I'm going to give myself permission to just think that thought. It's not going to manifest, but I can use that emotional charge behind the thought to dive into deeper of why I'm feeling this and why I'm scared of this, what the fear underneath it is.
Yeah, that's so beautifully put. Um, yeah, it's so well said. I'd love to know, Emma, before we go. I could talk to you all day. But I'd love to know, what are you currently manifesting right now?
I love this question. I get this at the end of every single
Oh,
podcast. And
really? I'm not
always
unique.
I always say nothing. That is my answer. And I say nothing because I want people to take away that we don't need to manically manifest. For anybody who's not familiar with my work, I got married this year. I released Aligned Abundance. So I have manifested some huge things this year.
Yes.
But one project I have spoken about recently is manifesting falling in love with life again. That has been a little manifestation project that I'm passionate about and have wanted to cultivate in my own life, because people tell me all the time this is normal after weddings. And I was like, no, I think this has been a little bit been there for a while, but maybe it is because of the wedding as well. But yeah, I've just kind of felt like I really want to bring the awe and wonder and spark back into life a bit more. So I've actually been revisiting like a lot of the books that I first read 10 years ago. I've been like doing the basics a lot. And I tell you what, there's so much magic in the basics of going back to those books that changed our life, or, you know, reflecting on the things that have
Yeah.
really helped us. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's any like wild, crazy manifestations. I mean, heck, I'm here for another book if that happens. You know, eventually I'd love to manifest a house in a few years. So yeah, there's definitely things like on the to-do list, but I'm always a preacher of enjoy the view, enjoy the
Yes.
manifestations that you've just worked hard to manifest, because they are so important to enjoy and to just take in and enjoy that season.
Yes, that's beautiful. I think it's such a beautiful note to end on too. Enjoy the view. Enjoy everything you have manifested up until this point, and um, while becoming conscious of the things that you're beginning to dream of as well. It's so lovely. Emma, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. I'm so grateful for your time and just your wisdom, your knowledge, and your beautiful light that you're bringing to the world, and everything you've integrated and embodied. You're really an embodiment of everything you teach, and I can really feel that and hear it through this conversation. before we go, could you let everyone know where we can find you, where we can buy your books, and maybe anything you have coming up?
Of course. So you can find Aligned Abundance and all of my books from anywhere that sells books worldwide. So wherever you get your books from, you can find them. They're also on my website as well, emmamumford.co.uk, if you want to learn more about each one. My podcast, Aligned Abundance, is wherever you get your podcast from. Again, more info on the website. My YouTube channel as well. I've got, I think it's like over 900 videos on there now over the last 13 years. So you're spoilt for choice. You can dive in, and there's loads of topics on alignment. I've got the 5 steps on there. Basically, for every stage of manifestation, there's a video on there for someone to get their teeth stuck into. My socials are at I am Emma Mumford, so you can come and find me where I post daily content on Instagram, TikTok, although I'm not the most regular on TikTok, I will say, but Instagram, I'm definitely consistent. And yeah, my manifestation membership, everything that I do is all on my website.
Amazing. And we'll have everything linked in the description as well. But Emma, thank you so much for coming on Cosmic Conversations.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning into Cosmic Conversations. If you enjoyed this episode, then please let me know. Maybe consider leaving a 5-star review or a comment on what you thought. I'd love to hear suggestions and feedback on any topics you'd like me to explore or unpack, or maybe a guest that you'd like me to have on so I can pick their brain. If you have a cosmic confession or a dilemma that you'd like me to explore next week, then please send it my way on Instagram at Cosmic Conversations Pod, or email thecosmiccoach.ie@gmail.com. Thank you, and see you next week.